Hello everybody, this is Daniel from fitnessblender.com, and today I'm going to be taking you through a lower body specific active stretch routine. So there's a little bit different passive stretching. This active stretching routine is actually going to work those muscles a lot more and help build up strength around the range of motion that you create by becoming more flexible. So how we're going to be doing this is we have a number of different stretches we're going to be going through. Each one we're going to be doing for a minute straight. And then we're going to have a 15-second break to move to the next one. So some of them are left side, right side. Some are just a straight stretch by itself. So we're going to be going through 1 minute per exercise or per stretch. So your left side gets 1 minute, your right side gets 1 minute. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Get my timer going here. So our first one is going to be a standing quad stretch. So standing, trying to keep your own balance. If you need to, lean up against a wall. You're going to curl your heel up to your butt as close as you can using just your hamstring. Then pull your knee back behind you. You should feel a little bit of a stretch to the front of that thigh. Keep that chest nice and straight up and down. You're probably going to feel a little bit of a cramp starting to form up in that hamstring. It's just the nature of the exercise. Squeeze it as tight as you can. Pull that knee back to get that stretch to that front of that thigh. Hold it just a little bit longer. Try to keep your balance as best you can. Like I said, if you need to, you can lean up against a wall or the back of a chair to give yourself just a little extra balance. But try to keep that hamstring squeeze as tight as you can. Get that extra calorie burn out of it, as well as building up that strength around that knee joint. Squeeze nice and tight. We're over halfway. Tight, tight squeeze. Keep that knee back. I know that leg's starting to get tired on you from holding that position, but try to hold it just a little bit longer. 4, 3, 2, 1, and let that leg relax. Let those muscles stretch out for just a second. We're going to do the same exact thing on that opposite side. So again, balance. Bring that leg back behind you. Curl that heel up as close to your butt as you can. 3, 2, 1. Squeeze that heel up nice and high. Oh, about to lose my balance there. Squeeze that heel nice and high. Pull that knee back behind you. Constantly squeezing the entire time. Trying to feel that stretch to the front of that quadricep. Just because of the nature of this exercise or the stretch, that hamstring might not be quite strong enough to pull that heel in as close as you need to get a good stretch. But if you're not feeling that stretch, it means you don't have that strength around that joint like you should. So just keep squeezing as tightly as you possibly can. Keep that chest nice and straight up and down. Keep that knee pulled back behind you. Squeeze that heel to your butt. That hamstring should be getting really nice and tired. Like I said, you might even be feeling a little bit of a cramp trying to form in that hamstring. But if you do, just let it completely extend. Then right back up, squeeze it, pull that knee back. Just a little bit longer. 5 more seconds. And let that relax. Those legs completely shake out. Our next one is going to be an inside thigh stretch. So you're going to spread those feet about twice shoulder width apart. We're using just that muscle tissue again, so a little bit of a bend in that knee. Use the muscles through the outside of your hip to shove your hip down really nice and tight. So you're pushing that hip down as tight as you can. So pretty even weight distribution from left leg to right leg. Should be feeling the stretch to the inside of your thigh. Again, using the muscle to the outside of your thigh to push your hip down as far as you possibly can. So you're trying to rotate your hips or tilt your hips towards that straight leg to get that stretch to the inside of that groin. Just keep pushing it. Like I said, with every single one of these exercises, as those muscles start to loosen up just a little bit, you're going to need to push a little bit harder, so just keep pushing into it as hard as you possibly can the entire time. Well over halfway, just keep those lungs open. Just keep concentrating on a nice tight contraction to the outside of that thigh, stretching that inside. Just a few seconds left. 5 more. 3. And switch sides. Those legs shake out for just a second. We'll do the same thing on the opposite leg. So get those feet back out again, twice shoulder width apart or more if you want. Bend that opposite leg out, slight bend in that knee. Again, contract the outside of your hip, shoving that hip down as hard as you possibly can, getting that stretch to that groin. So really, really tight squeeze. You're using gravity for this kind of stretch, then you have those feet much, much wider apart, just leaning back towards that leg. So This one focuses on just using the muscle to the outside of that leg to really press it down. If you really want to focus on just using that muscle to do that stretch, then stand perfectly straight up and down and just lift that leg up and out to the side. See if you can get that stretch to that inside of that groin, or inside thigh anyway. Just a little over halfway. Keep holding it, nice tight squeeze. Remember, try to take those hips and tilt them down towards that straight leg. So really rock those hips down to get as much of a stretch in that hamstring, or sorry, that inside thigh as possible. Got about 10 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1, and let it relax. All right, go ahead and stand up nice and straight and tall. Our next one is going to require a fair amount of balance and strength to the front of that thigh and throw on that hip flexor. This is going to be a standing toe touch. We're only going to be doing 30 seconds on each side because it's so difficult. So starting with one leg, bring it up in front, stretching down towards that toe. Try to keep that leg as straight as you can, stretching down towards that toe with those hands, basically trying to do a toe touch, but while balancing on one foot. So you should feel quite a bit of fatigue through the front of that hip flexor. If I can catch my balance here, I'm trying to turn around too much. Just keep holding it. Just a few seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and let it relax. Bring that other leg straight up. Same exact thing. Get that leg as high as you possibly can. And if you need some extra balance, stand close to a wall or next to a chair for this one, so you can touch down if you need to. But otherwise, try to do it 100% without touching anything. Really make those muscles have to work. We're almost done. Muscle a little bit of a break there. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, and let it relax. Like I said, those are really, really difficult to do. Okay, our next one is going to be a butterfly stretch. So we'll be sitting down on the ground for this one. So all the way down, those feet together, nice and close. Pull them in as close as comfortable. Use the muscles to the outside of your thigh to pull those knees down towards the ground. Back stays relatively flat. Just pull those knees down as much as you can. Should feel a little bit of stretch to the inside of that groin. Just try to relax. Breathe normally. Keep those lungs open. Just don't hold your breath. Constantly squeezing those outside thigh muscles to pull those knees down. Now if you can't bring those knees down as much as I can, don't worry about it. As long as you're feeling that stretch, that's what you're looking for. Flexibility will always increase over time. So just make sure if you really, really have a tight spot, that might be something you need to put either double the amount of time on when you're doing your stretches or just stretch twice as often. Got about 10 seconds left with this one. And let it relax. Bring those feet up just a little bit further and kind of just let them relax. You're gonna get that back really nice and straight up and down. We're gonna do a torso rotation next. So we're gonna do a minute to one side, minute to the other. Arms straight out in front of your chest and just rotate to the left or to the right, whichever direction, as far as you possibly can, and squeeze and hold. So you're trying to get your chest, your shoulders, actually 90 degrees off of your hips. So if your hips are facing straight forward, you want those shoulders facing off towards one of the walls, off 90 degrees to your side. Just keep rotating as best you can. Using those muscles, through your abdominal muscles, your obliques, even a little bit into your lower back to keep everything nice and straight at the same time as rotating. Just keep pushing into it. Constantly trying to get just a little bit more range of motion out of it. Keep those lungs open. Under 10 seconds left. 5 seconds. And let it relax for just a second. That same exact thing, but rotating off the opposite direction next. All right, so nice and straight and tall, hands up in front of your chest, and rotate the opposite direction you did last time. Make sure that back stays perfectly straight up and down, just rotating those shoulders as far as you possibly can. Again, if those hips are facing forward, you want those shoulders facing 90 degrees off to the opposite direction you did last time. Or 9 degrees off from where those hips are in the opposite direction you did last time. Just keep those lungs open, constantly squeezing, constantly trying to get just a little bit further. Just 20 seconds left. Keep those muscles contracted, keep those shoulders rotated as much as you can. Don't let it release. Burn those extra calories. Forcing yourself to increase flexibility at the same time as building up strength. And let that relax. All right, we're going to move on to a seated hamstring and torso or oblique stretch. So one leg's going to come out fully extension, the other one's going to be tucked in as close as is comfortable. You're going to reach down towards that toe using only your muscle tissue through your hip flexor and a little bit through your oblique to pull yourself sideways. Other hand comes up over top. And again, contract that oblique on that bottom side to stretch the outside of your torso as well as that hamstring. So pulling your body over as much as you can, flexing through that leg. Keep that quadricep contracted to keep that leg straight as well. Just keep those lungs open. Continually stretching down as far as you can, contracting those muscles as much as you can. Like I said, to the outside of that hip, front of that hip, quadricep and oblique to pull yourself over onto that leg. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and let that relax. Do the same exact thing over on the opposite side. So go ahead and switch those legs. Opposite leg comes out. Tuck the other one in. Again, reaching down towards that hand or that foot, that hand. Other hand over top. Scrunching it down, contracting that oblique, hip flexor, and front of that thigh, that quadricep. Pulling that shoulder down towards that knee, down towards that hip as much as you can. Stretching that hamstring as well as the oblique and the outside of that rib cage on the opposite side. Squeeze it down. Keep those lungs open, breathing as normally as you can the entire time. Keeping everything contracted nice and tight. Keep that chest open up out to the side. Make sure you're not starting to roll over. You want to keep your chest open out to the side. 20 seconds left. Just keep it going. Four, 3, 2, 1, and let it relax. All right, next one is going to be a regular seated toe touch. But this one, instead of focusing on those hamstrings, we're going to try to focus on those calves a little bit more by flexing those toes back towards it. So nice flat back. You can round that back a little bit if you need to. That's fine. But keep those legs perfectly straight. Lean forward and then flex those toes back. You should feel a stretch through your calf, a little bit into the back of your knee, a little bit less in your hamstrings than you would with a regular toe touch. So stretching down, using your abdominal muscles, your hip flexors, and your quadriceps to pull yourself forward. Flexing those toes back, using the muscles to the front of your shin to flex your toes back towards you. Take your feet and kind of rotate them back and forth to try to get a little bit different angle on your calf muscle to get a little bit different stretch out of it. So the whole time you're stretching, try to just change that stretch up just a little tiny bit to get a little bit more out of it every single time. Contracting nice and tight. Again, keep those lungs open, flexing forward as much as you possibly can. Flexing those toes back towards you. Nice tight squeeze. And let it relax. All right, go ahead and lay down on your back. This is our last exercise, our last stretch. Just laying flat down on your back. You're going to cross one leg over top. All the work's going to be on the one leg that's over on the bottom here. And you're going to flex through that hip flexor. Pull that knee in as tight as you possibly can. Use those abdominal muscles to kind of roll those hips in as well. Should feel a stretch on that glute down that hip socket of the opposite leg, the one that's crossed over top. Just keep pulling it in nice and tight. Flexing that hip flexor, pulling that knee up towards your chest as tight as you possibly can. Kind of rolling those hips up off the ground just a little bit, using your abdominal muscles as well. Just keep it going. Keep those lungs open. Tight, tight squeeze. As those muscles start to relax a little bit, as those tendons and ligaments start to release a little bit, stretch a little bit, just pull it in a little bit tighter, a little bit closer. Keep checking those muscles, making sure they're contracted as tight as they can, because they're going to want to constantly be releasing on you. So constantly check them, make sure you pull them in nice and tight. And let that one relax. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So cross that other leg over top. Again, all that weight's going to be on the leg that's down on the ground. Flex that hip flexor, contract it, squeeze that knee in nice and tight. Hold it in there. Try to get those abs contracted, roll those hips in as well. Keep those lungs open. Really, really squeezing that knee in as close as possible. Again, you're going to be feeling it in that opposite leg. The one that's crossed over top, should be feeling it in the glute of that leg. Just keep holding it, nice tight squeeze. Get that extra calorie burn at the same time as getting that stretch. Keep those lungs open, don't hold your breath. Keep contracting those muscles, they're going to be constantly trying to release on you. Tight, tight squeeze, get a good stretch. Pull that knee in as much as you can. Rolling those hips in towards you, kind of crunching with those abdominal muscles. And let it relax. All right, that is our lower body stretch for an active stretch, using those muscles to do our stretches for us. So that is the end of this routine. You can use this as a warm-up or a cool-down if you want to. Otherwise, a really nice off-day workout as well to get a little bit of flexibility in at the same time as burning some calories. So I hope you like this workout, because this workout is complete. See you guys next time.